welcome to the CAR mid-session legislative review and update. We're so happy to have you with us today. All right, I'm going to get into our housing bills, probably top of mind for everyone. Some really interesting, innovative housing bills this session. As many of you might have known, we've been tracking the transformative affordable housing task force that met throughout the summer and the fall to recommend, if we have federal dollars coming in from the ARPA program, the American Rescue Plan Act, what can we do that can be really transformational? As many of you know, as you saw our March housing report, the inventory across our state is devastatingly low. So when we were looking at a lot of the housing bills this session, the LPC was really working to make sure we continue to focus on a continuum of housing, meaning we want to make sure home ownership and creation of units is prioritized in some of these funding bills. So I'm just going to get right into some of our bills here. First, I want to start with some of the bills that are not funding. House Bill 1102 is going to add veterans and military status to the Fair Housing Act for protected classes. And what's really wonderful to see about this bill, no one has had problems with us adding veterans or military to those protected classes to make sure they're not experiencing discrimination. But what we wanted to ensure, and that our colleagues in the home building world wanted to ensure, was making sure that we don't hurt veterans with some of our friendly, proactive policy. There are some that are sort of open marketing to veterans. And we also wanted to make sure, because we all deal with VA and HUD loans, that conventional financing versus a HUD loan is not a hindrance in a housing transaction. So we made one amendment earlier in the legislation that says you do not have to select a certain type of financing. You have that ability to, you get to select what type of financing that you would like. So if it's conventional or VA HUD, a consumer is still going to have that choice. And then the home builders clarified some of our language around appraisals and that forward veteran-friendly contract offering. So this bill is now in great shape, and we're really happy to support it going forward, since it will not cause any issues with housing and will continue to be a great way for our veterans to have opportunities for home ownership. We are also supporting a bill that allows child care centers to get a property tax exemption. Child care is one of the most expensive things in your budget here as a Colorado consumer, but as a state, we rank 8th highest in cost of childcare, which makes it really hard on our working families. So we're happy to support a cleanup that will allow childcare centers to be taxed less based on this bill, House Bill 1006. All right, we've got a whole bunch of HOA bills this session. No shortage of interest there in HOAs. So we have 3 bills on our bill sheet we're working on this year. A House Bill 1040 allows homeowners to have access to common areas if it's part of their HOA dues. House Bill 1137 is talking all about some of those foreclosures that are taking place in the Green Valley Ranch neighborhood, but it is a statewide problem. What we're seeing here is some homeowners are being foreclosed on because of escalating fees and fines. And the LPC feels strongly that you shouldn't be kicked out of your home because you didn't maintain your lawn to the correct level of greenery or grass cut level, whatever your HOA says related to appearance. There's a very big difference between paying your HOA dues and whether or not you violated a amenity or beautification provision. So we're working with the bill sponsors to make sure that bill increases transparency to those folks that have homes so that they know when there's a fine, but they also have the ability to remedy it before they're getting their foreclosure notice. And that bill is still working its way through the process. 1139 is another HOA bill, really interesting. We are supporting this bill because some HOAs have been very active in prohibiting where you can and can't park or how you use your public right-of-way. And so this bill clarifies that if you are in compliance with local government rules, you will be able to park on the street. Kind of an interesting issue there. All right, so I mentioned all these innovative bills. I really want to get to these bills. These are really exciting. House Bill 1242 is a brand new bill, very comprehensive, that is going to allow us to legalize tiny homes and manufactured housing throughout our state. So the issue here is there's a couple of jurisdictions throughout the state that do have tiny homes, but there's not a legal structure in place. There's no standards for safety or when you can hook up to utilities. This bill is going to put in place the structures so the rest of our state can easily plan, permit, and adopt tiny homes for those that would like to build them, install them, and the consumers that want to purchase them. Really exciting to see us take a look at that type of housing. There are two really big bills that came out of the Affordable Housing Task Force. House Bill 1282 is the Innovative Housing Incentive Program, and House Bill 1304 is the State Grants Investments Local Affordable Housing. I know, those are a mouthful. But what's exciting is 1282 is going to allow us to use federal dollars to use OEDIT, which is our Office of Economic Development and International Trade, to incentivize modular and manufactured housing and tiny home production in our state. And what we did to make the bill even better was to make sure there was a call out for making sure there's home ownership in the bill. So it's not just rental or supportive housing, but they're actually going to manufacture home ownership options. And it's going to be a $40 million program. We really see this as a way that Colorado can be a leader in the country of bringing innovative and more affordable housing product to our state, because oftentimes if you can build it in a modular fashion, you can bring it to fruition faster than frames and sticks. The State Grants Investments Local Housing Bill is another one coming from the task force, and it's going to be $150 million. I know that number is awesome to see when we're talking about housing creation. The really interesting and cool thing about the bill is that they put in place specific requirements around urban, rural, and what they call rural resort communities. And they established AMI levels to meet each one of those. And the highest level goes up to 170% AMI. So we're very excited to see some of that, because our workforce housing in our rural resort areas is devastatingly low. And the other thing that we called out specifically is homeownership creation. So those are part of the criteria and the goals in House Bill 1304. And they're also building in a new program of strong communities that'll help incentivize green energy and building. And we're happy to see the state prioritize it in an incentivized way that helps fund those types of housing. And this is going to make a huge difference in creating that inventory that we just don't have in our state. Finally, there are two more bills from the Affordable Housing Task Force that we're tracking. The Middle Income Access Program Expansion Bill, that's Senate Bill 146. This is expanding a missing middle program in Chaffa that's really working. Missing middle is usually that housing that's between rental and not quite private market level, but that workforce housing. And this bill will expand a working program in Chaffa. Senate Bill 159 is one of the new really wonderful ideas that came from the task force. And this is a revolving loan fund to invest in affordable housing. Unfortunately, revolving loan funds aren't supported by the federal treasury as an ARPA expenditure. However, the state General Assembly has prioritized general fund dollars to fund this program. The cool thing about a revolving loan program is it's low interest financing and gap financing to help create housing, but it keeps replenishing. That's why we like this approach. So it's also very exciting to see this bill be in a wonderful place to keep helping local governments invest in prioritizing the creation of housing. So those are our housing bills. That's it for this update. Check out our next video to learn more in the links below.